Order 16, I would ask for a motion that conducting the meeting electronically is necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare in light of the coronavirus. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Do I have a second? Got a second? Call the roll.
Yes. Here.
Bill Dodd,
Here. Yes.
David Gammon,
Yes.
Trey Gooch,
Yes.
Bill Frank Jernigan, not present, Paul Johnson,
Yes.
Alan McAdoo, Chairman.
Here. Yes. Okay, well, I'd like to welcome David back. David Gannon is back with us. It seems like he's doing a lot better. Welcome him back. Okay, first thing on the agenda, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes and find everything to be in order, so my motion is to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Call the roll.
Who was the second? Carol Cook or Paul Johnson? Commissioner Cook? Yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Bill Frank Jernigan, not present. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. Okay, we thank the mayor for filling in.
That's my first.
Okay, next on the agenda, project list for local government grant and CARES grant. Mr. Mayor, you want to discuss it?
On the CARES grant, if you recall, we have received about, I think it's Steve help me, 4.9 million on the CARES grant. And projects that we have listed, anywhere from a truck for EMS, a van for EMS to getting coolers. Everything has to be COVID related. So the whole list of things and the timetable and the window was so short, we give credit to Mrs. Nolan. She came up with the idea that what can be covered is our payroll and our benefits for our employees countywide for that period of time from the second week of March through the time that we submit the grant, which is due by the end of this month. So we'll be able to do that, and then once the money we know will be guaranteed, because they wouldn't allow us to tell us what would qualify and what wouldn't, and then that would put us in jeopardy in the event that we said we wanted to do that, and then they turn it down, and at that point in time, it's already purchased. You have to purchase it and show that you have it in hand. Just like new HVAC for Paul's, new HVAC for Goldstein's building. We were going to put the ultraviolet lights in those HVAC units, but we'd have to go ahead and purchase it at whatever the cost, and then if we got turned down, we end up biting the bullet. So Ms. Nolan's idea was to go ahead and go with something guaranteed. We get the 4.8 million reimbursement, and then we're able to use that money because we've already spent that money for payroll. So we'll be able to go in and take care of those through a separate funding item. And so it's all kind of excited about that. So that grant has to be turned into this month. So we're looking forward to, we got 2 new ambulances coming with ultraviolet lights in them, which will decon itself. They're built into the ambulances, which will decon itself after each transportation. We're actually even in your district, Commissioner Dodd, we're helping Greenhouse Ministries we thought about trying to buy them a building, but they told us, they hinted to us that it wouldn't qualify for buying the building for them, which would free them up for using what they're paying Mrs. Beatty on a monthly rent. But what they did say would qualify is buying and putting the concrete in, and then buying some cooler, freezer, storage space behind their building, because they receive a lot of vegetables, a lot of breads, and et cetera, that they supply to the homeless here in the community, and they just come in, put it in a warehouse in the back, and in the middle of July, those apples don't stick around very long. So now we're going to be able to, through this grant, be able to help a lot of those people in need that need some food items. So those are type things that are coming through this CARE grant.
Commissioner?
When will we see the actual list? I know at the beginning you had a conceptual list and we
Yes.
chipped away at it. When can we get an updated list?
I would say by the we should be able to get that out to you by the end of next week.
Will budget need to look at that? Is it
What you will be looking at is budget is the grant that we've applied for, but we'll have the list for you at the next budget meeting. Yes, sir.
Any questions on? If not, that sounds good. You sure that's Commissioner Dodd district or not Commissioner McAdoo?
I'm sorry. I thought you had downtown, Commissioner Dodd. Where's the line?
I wasn't gonna, so I stopped
Wasn't gonna say anything?
just outside of Greenhouse. I wrap around the square. So
Delete my comments, Madam Clerk. Now let me talk to Commissioner
I
McAdoo.
had to bring it
Commissioner
up.
McAdoo, let me tell you what we're doing over for
I
Greenhouse
wasn't gonna call
Ministries.
him out, Chairman. I was gonna let it roll.
Until now, you would change your vote. No, but either way, it's an excellent,
thing.
excellent
It's a
idea,
good
excellent
thing.
project.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. That's no problem. On
I didn't know where
That's
that line
excellent
was.
problem.
You got the courthouse.
Yeah.
All right. You got Greenhouse.
Yeah,
That's only a block away.
I know it,
All right.
but it makes a big difference.
Yes, it does. Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, next on the agenda, Archives Building.
Excited about this one.
Yeah.
This week. Got excited yesterday.
Oh,
Good evening. Okay, I'll give y'all a rundown of where they're at on the archives building. That's as of today, and since the last meeting, the stair towers are completed. The electrical rough end is completed in the stair towers. Plumbing for the irrigation has been rerouted and is back in service. The gas line's been rerouted. And so on Monday, the steel package showed up, and so the steel columns and the beams have all been erected. The roof trusses are in place. And so when I left, they were up there welding the steel beams. That'll probably take about a week. The columns should be completed in about a week, and they'll start pouring the floor on the second floor deck, and that'll take about a week for them to do that too. And so that's where we're at. It finally looks like a building over there now instead of just a slab.
So, Ben, how long you think it'll take before they can get it dried in? Just a couple of weeks?
I guess depending on the weather, it'll probably take a little longer than that. They're going to have to pour the slab, the second floor slab. They've got to reach through, they've got to pump concrete from one end of the building to the other.
I got you.
And so that's going to take a while, and then they can't do much to the roof trusses until they make sure that they've got everything in that they have to get. So it could be, there'll probably be a roof on it before December for sure. So.
questions on the Archive Building? Okay. Next on the agenda is 20 North.
Okay, first I'm going to talk a little bit about the third floor build out on for the children's services. So This week, the architect has submitted 2 potential floor plans to Children's Services, and they were working on some minor revisions yesterday, but the architect said that if when the plans are approved, if they were signed off on tomorrow by the Children's Services, that they would have some working drawings on Friday the 23rd, or the Friday the 30th, and we could turn that loose to the contractor. And he said that it would take him about 5 days to get firm pricing on that. They had to call in an engineer. There's some high-density file storage on the 3rd floor that they're looking at, and so they're going to call in a structural engineer to take a look at that. So that's where we are on the 3rd floor, and then if you don't have any questions, I'll run down the entire project as far as where they stand on it.
Any questions? Okay, next is the Judicial Center.
Well, I'm going to tell you where
Okay.
the construction is on the
20.
Judicial 20 North. The 5th floor drywall is complete. 4th floor drywall is complete.
You'll see a picture of that Steve handed out to you. That's the 5th floor. And it already has carpet down, so it's got the rolled paper on top of the carpet. It's already set. First paint, first layer of paint's on, baseboards are up. All the lighting is in. We had a slight problem earlier this week. We had a contractor cut the low voltage wire. Didn't know it was our fiber, and it shut down the entire judicial building. And Lisa's, her whole complex over there, the clerk, registered deeds, and assessor, that whole complex is tied into the same system. So we had no choice but to send all the employees home. When was that, Lisa? Day before yesterday? Yeah, Tuesday, when that occurred. So we're looking into who was actually responsible for that, because the county did incur costs because we had to pay payroll. We sent them home with pay, during that period of time. So we'll work that out. And but we did get them up and running. Cody and IT stayed on top of that. So the next morning, I believe we had everything back in place, up and running.
Okay.
Ben?
Well, let's see, the drywall's 100% on the 2nd floor, 60% on the 1st floor. 90% of the paint is finished on the 5th floor, 90% on the 4th, 90% on the 2nd. 100% of the flooring is complete on the 5th floor and 20% on the 4th floor. And Mayor, do you want to discuss anything else that we?
Yeah, while we're on 20 North, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, members, I told you at the full commission meeting last week that we didn't want to really discuss it, just putting it on your agenda, and we'd bring it up at property management this week. But you can see, Steve has handed out pictures. You see 2 pictures of windows that's kind of atypical of the building. This is probably the worst, which has got a hole. It's the last page there. It's actually facing the courthouse, you can see. And that's when Brett, the superintendent on the job, stopped me in the parking lot. As I explained to you last Thursday, he said, Mary, you may want to consider putting some new windows in this building. And of course, Commissioner Piercy asked the question, why didn't we do this in the beginning? Well, if you recall, we said we have $4.2 million to repair the building, do what you can with it, and that's what PBA came up with. And windows were not considered within that 4.2 million. So, as I tried to explain the other night, that an estimate, and we probably won't firm those numbers up until next week on windows. We're getting another quote on windows, but we're looking at about 160,000 to replace all the 34 windows. Huh? Yes, sir.
All windows.
All 5 floors of all the windows. Yes, sir.
Beat the number with
160 is the estimated cost. We have one, but Brett is, with Cadell, is requesting 2 more quotes to come in. So we should have some firm numbers, and we can put that out to the members of this committee next week to let you know what those firm numbers are to go forward. He can include it into this contract, right, Ben? Instead of us having to put the windows out to bid.
Commissioner?
Just on that topic, it was a concern of ours at the last commission meeting about the timing of the windows. And if we delayed it too long, you've already got sheetrock as much as 60% complete on the first floor. And now we're talking about, and paint and trim out. And now we're talking about taking out windows. So are we going to increase the cost of that remodel job because we've got everything finished? How are we dealing with that?
They actually had some monies included for repair of some of the windows, some of the worst windows that were there. So of course we'll get that money will be included or deducted from the price of the new windows, but they'll be vinyl clad. It's pretty much the sashes that are taken out, and it'll be a vinyl clad window, insulated glass, and it'll be wrapped in aluminum. The exterior will be aluminum wrapped, and so it really shouldn't affect the trim,
Finishes.
paint, or the finishes at all. The contractor, I think he would have, if he was concerned, I don't think he would have even mentioned them, but he said that it's really going to, he said, I think he actually said 2 or 3 year payback in energy costs, 3-year energy cost savings. So,
And there are not any windows on first and second floor, are there?
just on the
Front?
college and the square side, there's some windows.
Okay.
There's no side windows up until the 3rd floor, or the 4th floor.
Fourth floor.
Yes, sir.
Fourth floor.
Y'all are comfortable with the remodel? The windows would be a remodel of sorts, will be not terribly intrusive on the finished work you're doing now?
I don't think so.
Looking at the pictures, all the windows are inset, or outset rather, so if it's just sashes, it looks like the trim on the inside looks like it should not have to be disturbed to a great
I
degree.
think that the trim on the outside, like I said, they'll wrap that with aluminum, so we won't have to paint it, and the windows are vinyl coated that he's talking about. That price is based on a previous job that he's done, and so it's not a hard number until he gets some specs back from the architect. So.
Any more questions on the windows? I'm glad he stopped you and told you about those windows.
Yeah, me too.
Continue? Continue.
The only other comment that I have to make about the 20 North, Nick, the county attorney, has sent a letter to Carlisle, and he went all the way up the tree as far as the people that he's contacted about our warranty problem with the roof. I've talked to a contractor. We want to go ahead. They're fixed to pipe in some little small air conditioning units on the roof. We're going to let Southern Roof come in and put the drains back down flush with the building so it'll drain, so that the water will drain off the building, and fix about an 8 or 12 foot perimeter around the drains so that so there's no standing water up there. And I guess, well, if we can fall back on the warranty, we'll try to recoup that money then to to get the drains repaired now, so.
Don't have a cost on that, do we? On that
No, sir, not yet.
part?
Well, since the roof's only 3 or 4 years old, we're hoping that this letter will encourage them to come do it under warranty.
2017, so it's pretty new by
3 years
our
old.
standards, yeah.
Question on the roof?
Judicial Center.
Okay, next is the Judicial Center.
While we're talking about windows, those 3 windows at the Judicial Center have been replaced, and so that's off of our plate now, so.
Know the cost of that? 3 windows?
Yeah, I want to say that it cost the county 13 or 14,000. The contractor paid for the rigging, the equipment they had to put on the roof, and then we paid for 2 of the 3 windows, I think.
So that's all the windows over there?
Yes, sir. That's all 3 windows that were broken.
Any questions on Judicial Center windows? Okay, next one-stop update.
I've got just
Yeah, go ahead.
some bits and pieces. The county attorney and the PBA's attorney are finalizing a construction agreement between the PBA and Rutherford County, the contract, and then we've got a design letter of interest that has been composed and approved by the PBA's attorney. They didn't want us to send it out until the contractor has been finalized, but as soon as it is, then we can send that out to potential architects that may be interested. And at the last PBA meeting, some of the members wanted to discuss the advantages or disadvantages of a design-build type project versus a construction manager at risk project type delivery. And so and Mayor, you may have some more to add to that project.
Sorry, Lisa, one more step we didn't anticipate, but we're just, once you get attorneys involved, they're just making sure that we're taken care of. So in order to provide the proper vehicle for PBA, for us to be prepared to send over to the city for them to approve, all we're doing is going in. We already have a conceptual drawing of lot 1, lot 2, but it has to be defined. So I think we charged Mike Hughes earlier this week to go ahead and get a survey done. And so once we acquire the survey, then the specifics of, so many feet to the north and et cetera, on as far as the actual site for us to plat it, and then it'll be ready to go. That language will be inserted into the interlocal agreement, and we'll send it on to city council. And fortunately, they meet every Thursday night, and we'll be able to get that done.
On the one-stop building, I know PBA is meeting.
And PBA is, I think we have a point system that was set up, and we received a copy of that point system for the PBA to use as they have sent out invitations for architects, and they'll be able to I guess, judge them based on the points as they're going through the interview process for that process. Okay.
That's a similar system we use for the judicial building.
Yeah, same. It's the same system. Yes, sir.
Any questions on one-stop? Lisa, got a question on one-stop?
Waited this long, what's another month, right?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for inviting me to speak. And I appreciate everything everybody's doing to move forward on this one stop. I call it the West Side. I just wanted to express, that when we started this several years ago, my desire was to use the Smyrna office as an example of what this new satellite office would look like as far as square footage and services that we would provide. While we're moving forward, since we completed the Smyrna office in 2010, I'm at full capacity 10 years later. The increase in growth that we're currently having in Rutherford County from just last year, 2.4% increase from 19 to 20. So when we're considering this new location, and again, I'm just proud that we're here and we're being able to discuss it. I just need to express that the square footage, we really need to consider what we actually need. There's 5 major dealerships on that side within a few miles of that location. On an average from June the 1st until September the 24th, we were taking in an average just from the car dealerships, 120 to 140 deals per day. So when we start talking about square footage and that close to 5 major dealerships, we really need to consider what the future looks like for this office. But again, I appreciate being here and you allowing me to speak, and I feel like we're in good hands with you all taking care of it.
Some members in the original plan, there was 4,500, and Lisa has come back and requested another 1,000 square feet. Am I correct?
1,000?
Yep.
Yeah. On top of that, so that'd take you up to 5,500.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that
And
would work.
At one time, we had, I'm sorry? And 2 drive-throughs will be included. At one time, we had a small window and a small storage area for Ted Beatty. He once thought that he wanted to be out there as well, and we were going to make accommodations inside Lisa's office, and he has since withdrawn that request, so that will it'll be all hers. So we'll give her up to 5,500. So once we get all the preliminaries done with the city, then the architect, we'll move forward and try to accommodate that 5,500 for you.
Okay. All right, seems like we're moving on with that project. Any questions on one stop? Okay. If not, next, community care.
The community care project, we met, I guess it's been a couple of weeks ago, with the architect and the contractor that we had originally awarded the bid to 6 months ago. And so they've made a few revisions to the plan, and that's been submitted to the State Fire Marshal's office. It's pending approval, and the contractor has submitted a revised budget due to the project delay because of COVID, and so he's awaiting. The architect hasn't looked at those numbers. I talked to him this afternoon. He hasn't had a chance to go over those numbers yet, but then after he goes over them, then the county will take a look at them and make sure that it's still within our budget. And the community care has to clear the actual wing that we're doing the remodel on. Is where they're keeping their quarantine patients with COVID. And the last 2 weeks ago, I think there was 2 more cases that were in that wing. And I don't know what their status is, but they've got to move those folks out of that wing if they haven't already for the construction to begin. And so we're just kind of waiting on some numbers. And
As far as the fire marshal is concerned, it's just them approving the new site from Picklesheimer?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
We know somebody that knows somebody at the state fire marshal's office, don't we?
Yeah.
Former Commissioner Farley, I believe he's the state fire marshal, isn't he? So, yeah, I think we might make a call and see if he can speed that up for us.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at on that project.
Right. Any other questions on community care? If not, next on the agenda, property inventory. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Steve?
Good afternoon. Last month you asked for property inventory, and with our county engineer, our property assessor, our GIS department, we've pulled up, and what you have it on your SharePoint, but you also have an inventory sheet on your desk showing it's the big sheet, and they have taken from our assets in Rutherford County, as well as platted parcels and numbers, and combined those lists and actually taken out things that didn't belong in there and compiled you a list. What we've decided to do, or I've decided, I guess, to try to make this a little bit easier and a little more palatable, is to not give you, we've given it to you, but we're going to make it better. We've got a picture book, so to speak. I'm calling it a picture book. I know Commissioner Gooch loves that terminology there. But it does make it really easy and palatable to look at. Like this first one I'm looking at is Barfield Elementary. It's got 1.5 acres over here that's available for us to do something with. Buchanan Elementary, it gives you, how many acres, 6.5 or whatever. In this information, this shows you the whole school site. So it really don't help you with what's left over in a remnant or what's left over in acreages to show you what might be available for further expansion, whether it might be a portable unit for the schools, or it may be for an addition for the school, or another ball field, or another whatever. And this right here will give you, next month, we're hoping to compile. We've got the school one done, and we're going to check it and make sure it's correct. And this right here gives you a quick visual of where that piece of property is, either in acreages or whether it's a quarter of an acre, or an eighth of an acre, all the way up to whatever's. I mean, we've got one school site here. It looks like it's woods. It might be hills or something. There's 30, 40, here's 159 acres, but we don't know what exactly that is. Some of this was before my time. Some of it may be before your time. And we want to look into that. Is that buildable acreage? Is that developable acreage? Do we need that in an expansion for the school? Since we're having issues with, overcrowding and stuff like that, do we look at it in many different facets and ways and that's for this committee to do. And we're going to throw all this out here to you, so this is another job within itself of what you have once you've got it. But if there's any other way you want us to do this, we will be glad to. But this list here that you have, and it's on your SharePoint, correct? You can look at it on there too. Not this, but this. This is on SharePoint. You can look at that, but like you might see the courthouse, and it will just give you the Rutherford County Courthouse. Well, the courthouse is pretty much taking up all of its space besides the inner square part as far as parking. Then you might look up something that would be like 319 North Maple or something. Well, that would be that building and its parking area, or the new judicial building, or Goldstein, or wherever. So it really doesn't show you on this whether it's a building there or whether it's acreage or a lot or vacant. So I think this picture book, pattern book, will give you a look at what's there now and today, and show you what the area is, square footage or acreage is. And if that's what you want, we will continue and finish that. It's in its process right now. I'm thinking that it's going to be really good, but if you want something else or want it brought out some other way or another tab and whatever, we'll be glad to do that.
Under the description here, I'm taking a lot of longer, 20.2 acres. Is that what the school sits on?
Yes, ma'am.
That's how much is for the school?
Yes, ma'am. See, that's the problem with this. This is just going to show you from the property assessor, a map and parcel, and it's going to tell you the total acreage, but that's the total acreage for what the school is sitting on. But it doesn't tell you that there's an acre left over here or 2 acres left that we could use or not use or expand on or to put a portable on or whatever.
The school is about 44 years old. I gave them a birthday party when they was 40.
I think that's a good idea. Any more suggestions for Steve on putting this book together?
The only request I would have is to send it in Excel format so that we can filter in certain ways as well, instead of a PDF, or not just a PDF, just a thought.
Okay.
The ones that came out, I guess they're just drafts then, because there's a big discrepancy in the number of asset numbers. So thanks for doing it. It's a big effort, obviously.
Well,
appreciate the first effort. I look forward to it.
It is kind of amazing once you get to looking through it, like we were talking earlier, you've got maybe a 0.29 of an acre somewhere on a street somewhere in Rutherford County that we probably acquired through non-payment of taxes somehow. And, what we would like to do is to come back before you with a plan once we compile all this and say, what if we send this person, these 3 people that surround this little piece of property, 0.29 or whatever it is of an acre or an acre, whatever it is, and this committee, if you decide you want to do something like that, we may just be a form letter that we send out to those surrounding property owners and who would want to purchase it at whatever the market bears for, acreage, and put it back on the tax roll. They keep up with it, they maintain it, they take care of it. So, but whatever it is, we're going to give it to you and let this committee figure out what you want to do with it from then on.
We could do that by checking who pays the taxes.
Well, this is our property.
This is our property.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is, I say Rutherford County property. This is our Rutherford County properties that we're showing you. But we've either acquired it by a school being on it, and this is what's left over, or it's been off of a road that's been redone, and we've gotten a slither here or there, or it's been, like I said, through non-payment of taxes that we've acquired the property through the years. And I think what this committee was asking is for us to try to get some of that back on the tax rolls and off of us maintaining it and taking care of it. And or we have a plan for it, and that was something we heard loud and clear too. And we do need to do that. We need to have a 5-year plan, whether we're have opportunities to build on it or we need to hold on to it. It's not timing yet. It may be on down the road, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Like the city property we have on the City Plaza down here on the City Hall in Murfreesboro. We've got that corner there that we paid, $350,000 for extra piers, extra concrete in those piers to build a building one day. Where the stairwell goes down into the parking garage, that is actually Rutherford County's property right there. So, and it's been sitting there for a number of years now. But the old jail property, it's vacant now. The building's off of it. Beside the archives building, there's a nice strip out there, that's nice and green. That's where I first thought we were going to develop and build our archives addition, was on that piece of property. I didn't really realize we had enough property in the back of it to expand the archives building. So a lot of those things right here will open our eyes in what we want to do and expand or build or to put back on tax roll. So, but in the middle of all this, you have a thought or want something else, you want to see something else, give me a holler, and we'll make sure we get it to you.
I just want to bring up one point. Once we get this completed, and then we look at it and make our additions or comments or whatever, and the committee approve this booklet, I think it would be a good idea that we update this book on a yearly basis. Just like, for an example, each one of us get a copy of the road board, and it's updated on a yearly basis. So therefore, once we get this compiled and together and we approve it, we could get it updated on a yearly basis. So therefore, if we got any questions, we can easily answer them without doing a lot of research. Any more discussion? Okay, that's good. Okay, other business, move November meeting.
The November is on Thanksgiving.
You want to meet on Thanksgiving?
The Thursday before, the 19th, is open.
That okay. What about November the 19th? What about November the 19th? Anybody have any conflict with it? November the 19th, this is a week prior to Thanksgiving. Thursday prior to Thanksgiving, so. If nobody have no objection, we'll grab that November the 19th at the same time. Okay, everybody got it? Move which one? Oh, yeah, we'll do that one. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, if there's not any more discussion, any other business to come before us tonight?
Chairman,
Commissioner Gannon?
do we normally have a meeting in December?
Well, we were just discussing that we were going to wait until December to make the change. Any other discussion? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn. All right.